Welcome back, and today I want to talk about trailer safety. It's really important because something that I hear an awful lot. I've read a lot of articles that talk about horses going through the floor of a trailer, and in pretty much every one of those situations, it's preventable. Be willing to pay to have somebody thoroughly inspect your trailer at least once a year. Now that might cost you a couple $100. I don't think shouldn't be any more than that. But for the average person, you can't just glance underneath. As you can see, pretty low profile. Most horse trailers sit quite close to the ground. You can't just stick your head underneath and get a good look. A lot of people don't want to spend the money. They say, "Hey, it's a couple $100 a year. I don't want to, blow it. I only use the thing once or twice a year." Well, you know what? Even if you only use it once or twice a year, it still deteriorates. And if, I'm going to do a quick rundown here. If your horse ever goes through the floor of a trailer, right off the bat, you're not moving another inch. You're not going anywhere. You're going to stop right where you are, whether it's in the middle of the road, the middle of a driveway, whatever. To start with, you're going to have a lot of people annoyed with you because you're blocking traffic. Then, depending on where you are, you got to locate and call in a vet. Call out fees and emergency call out after hours or whatever, it could cost you $200 to $400 just for something like that. Then you're going to have to get a rescue crew out, if you can find one that actually knows what they're doing with equines, to recover your horse from the trailer. It probably would include cutting out a section of your floor, which you're going to later have to pay to get fixed anyhow. Then on top of that, you have to arrange for alternative transportation. Somebody else is going to have to come out, pick up the horse. And then depending on the, extent of the injuries of the horse, you may end up with, a couple $1,000s worth of vet bills. On top of that, worst case scenario, if the horse is really badly injured, you might even have to have it euthanized. So a couple $100 a year to have your trailer inspected, well worth it, because the consequences of not having that done, having a horse go through the floor of a trailer, it's not fun. Now, I'm going to talk about floors. Okay, you'll notice this one here. It's smooth. Most horse trailers aren't like that. Most of them look more like this. They got planking in them. And this one actually does have planking in it. And this trailer doesn't look like much. It's an older trailer, but it's actually got brand new boards underneath. There's brand new planking in this trailer. And what I've done is I've actually put plywood over top of the planking. That's why it looks smooth like that. Now, I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But this planking in most trailers, underneath the planking, there's cross members going along supporting the planking. Now, one of the problems with horse trailers is even brand new. I suspect, I don't know what their standards are, but I suspect they're probably pretty minimal for engineering. And this planking has got some issues because it's an organic material. It can have flaws in it. Like even this one here, right there, you can see there's a bit of a knot in it. And there could be even flaws internally that you can't see. So even on a brand new floor, you could have a weak spot. If it happens to be right in between the joists, and then you also consider the size of the horse's hoof isn't much bigger than the boards. These ones I think are 2x6. Most of them are about 2x8s or 2x10s in trailers. So basically, the horse's hoof is on one board. And if it happens to shift its weight at the same time you hit a bump, you could have a shock load on that one plank equivalent to a couple £1,000. And if there happens to be a flaw in it, even with a brand new floor, you could end up with your horse going through. So well worth the time to have it inspected to make sure it's in good shape, because not only do you have to worry about the boards themselves, and if you don't know what to look for, they can discolor, they can dry out. This one's kind of weathered from sitting outside. You can see at the end there. This isn't a horse trailer, but here's a perfect example right there of a bad board. And a horse would go through that one in a hurry. And there's cross members underneath. They deteriorate too, and they're invisible. You don't see them because they're underneath. And like I said, being that the horse trailer tends to sit quite low, it's not something you're going to readily see unless the trailer is properly inspected. And horse trailers have a unique set of problems as well, because to start with, most of them are open and around the top, like this one. The openings aren't usually as big as this. This one's had the roof raised. But snow, rain, leaves, debris tend to collect along the edge. Oh, look, we even got something growing in this one now. And that's not uncommon. And when you get, stuff collecting along the edge, it holds moisture, causes it to rust out. As you can see with this one, you can actually see daylight around the front. The lip underneath there is actually rusted away, but I'm not too concerned about it because, like I said, there's brand new planking there. There's also some fairly substantial frame rails under there to hold it up. And the horse's feet don't ever actually go up that far anyhow. And I'm going to eventually turn that into a tack compartment, so it's not really too much of a concern. The rest of it is all good. I inspected that myself. But like I said, horse trailers have a unique set of issues in that, like I say, they're open. They're prone to getting moisture in them along the edges. It collects, and then the feces and urine is high in acid. That speeds up the rotting process of the boards and the supports underneath as well. So they'll rust out, they'll corrode, and and a lot of it's invisible. You don't even see it. You don't know what's happening until the horse goes through. Now, what I've done in this trailer, and I'm just going to quickly go over this, is, like I said, I put plywood down over top of the planking. Brand new planking, brand new. This is 3/4 inch plywood. This plywood alone would probably support a horse. And what I've done is, because I put this over top for a couple of reasons. I'm really paranoid. I don't want a horse to ever go through a floor. So this is kind of my insurance. The plywood alone would probably support a horse. On top of that, this plywood displaces the weight when a hoof is on there. It's probably going to spread the weight of that hoof out over several planks, at least 2, if not 3. So that actually increases the strength of the original floor, double. On top of that, I got this on top that would probably support the horse as well. So I've probably actually tripled the strength of my floor by doing this. Total cost for something like this isn't much either. I think for all the screws and the wood and everything else, I think it was only about $150 cost me to do this to my trailer. And it's well worth it. It gives me peace of mind, and I know that horse is never, ever going through this floor. Only downside I will say is doing something like this, I got 2 layers now, so moisture can get trapped between the 2 layers, and it will actually speed the rotting process of the wood because it doesn't dry out as well. So that's a bit of a downside, but considering the floor is 3 times the strength that it used to be, I don't think that's a huge issue, and it's probably going to last as long as the rest of the trailer anyhow. Clean them out. Give them a quick hose out, get rid of the acids, flush them out. That will actually slow down the deterioration because the waste product from the horse will actually speed the deterioration of both the wood and the cross members underneath when it gets through the planking. So clean your trailer out on a regular basis. Give it a rinse once in a while. If you can take it to a wash and high pressure spray, great. If not, if you only got a garden hose to do it with, even that's better than nothing. And then when you park the trailer, elevated on the front a bit. This one is actually sitting on a slope right now. So on that note, let's move on to tires and wheels and such. A lot of people think that oh, my tires are fine. I got lots of tread on them. No, they're not fine. They're weathered, they're deteriorated, they're weakened. 2 of these tires, both the ones on the front axle, are actually brand new tires. The back ones weren't too bad, so I left them on. Probably in a year or 2, I'll replace them too, even though, as you can see, there's lots of tread on them yet. They're not worn out. I suspect by the time those ones have to be replaced, they're never going to wear out either. They're going to weather. And that's what happens. I've never worn out a trailer tire yet, but I've replaced a lot of them because with age, they deteriorate, they weaken, and you don't want to blow a tire when you're hauling a horse. And, before you ever head out, always check your tires. Make sure they're fully up to pressure. Low tires will heat up and run a higher risk of blowing out, even if there's nothing wrong with them. That's going to startle the horse. On top of that is going to be a sudden, jolt and jostle of the trailer. And between that and being startled, your horse might lose its balance and fall down and get hurt in the trailer just because you blew a tire. So you might think, a tire, well, it's not inside the trailer. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the horse. No, it can. You can actually, your horse can get hurt if you blow a tire. So make sure you check your tire pressure before you ever leave. Check the condition of your tires. A lot of times you'll see, look down the center of the tread, and you'll actually see when they start cracking. That's where they're going to start cracking, is right in there, even though there's nothing wrong with the amount of tread on the tire. But I want to talk about wheel bearings and brakes. Something that you can do on a regular basis when you're pulling your trailer, stop and check the temperature. Now, a lot of trailers don't even have hubcaps. Mine does. This one doesn't. This is another example. This is a common looking thing. You'll probably find that on a lot of horse trailers. Just put your hand on the hub, check for temperature. If you got 4 wheels, like this one, which most of them do, what you're looking for, typically if you got brakes on all 4 wheels, they should all be running about the same temperature. They might get warm. That's not a big deal. That's normal. You're going to heat from the brakes. But if you have one that's significantly hotter than the other, it's an indication of one or two things. Either you got a wheel bearing that's bad, or you got a brake that's dragging. Either one can be a serious issue if left unattended. Particularly if you got a bad wheel bearing, you can end up losing a wheel. And that does happen. Another thing to be checking. Before you leave, check your wheel nuts. Make sure every single one of those wheel nuts is tight. If you have hubcaps, make sure you got something to take your hubcap off with. Make sure you have a wheel wrench and a spare tire. Okay, all the more reason to be checking your wheel nuts before you leave. Check them again before you come back. Same with your wheel bearings and your tire pressures. If you go out somewhere, just because you made it out and it's not very far, don't think that it's okay to go there and back without checking them again, because you can run over something or something can go wrong in any length of time. Now, another little thing you want to be checking is your hitch. Make sure it's properly closed. Make sure this collar is up over top of this part. If you have a different style, make sure it's latched properly. Whatever, you get to know your trailer, get to know how it works, double check, triple check, and make sure you have, nice, heavy, good quality safety chains. I don't recommend these open hooks. This is what this one happened to come with. I haven't changed them yet, but I would recommend the ones with the safety piece on them that keeps them from ever coming off. And make sure that they're heavy enough that they can't possibly come undone. I actually witnessed a trailer on the road with a horse in it come off the tow vehicle because somebody forgot to close the coupler, and the safety chain failed. That trailer left the road and ended up going off into a field. Fortunately, it didn't roll. The horse didn't get hurt. Could have been a lot worse, but it can happen. So, and if you ever stop somewhere, gas station, anything like that, some people actually think it's funny to open up your coupler. Before you take off again, take the time to stop and check. Make sure that thing is closed properly. If you have an escape door that can be opened from the outside, such as this one, before you move, double check. Make sure it's closed properly. You don't want a horse coming out on the road, so by all means, same thing when you stop every time. Make sure your back door is properly closed. This one, got a little lever. The pin goes through it. I actually also have a padlock for that I can stick through there instead of the pin. Normally the pin would go through there to hold that bar in place. I also have a padlock that'll fit through there as well, so that nobody can mess with it. And that's a bit of a safety issue, because the last thing you want is, make sure your hinges and make sure your door latches and everything are all in good repair and working well, because the last thing you want is a horse falling out on the road. And that has happened as well on a number of occasions. Even just recently, I've read a couple articles about that happening. So safety issues, the floor being the most important. If you do pay somebody to inspect your trailer, if at all possible, go to somebody that is actually familiar with horse trailers, because horse trailers do have a unique set of problems in the way that they corrode and the way they're exposed to the elements and that sort of thing. So it's important that they understand the significance of a good floor in a trailer, because on a regular cargo trailer, planking like that, even with the deterioration up there, not a big deal, because your weight's spread out a lot. It would still support it. In here, you got hooves tend to have, I don't know, what are they, 6-7 inches in diameter at the most. And you got a 1,000-pound animal, so you look at about 250 pounds per hoof. If they shift their weight, it's going to be a lot more. If you happen to hit a bump while they're shifting the weight, it's an extreme amount more. Like I said, just about everybody that has a horse at some point in time, their horse is going to ride in one of these things. Some people own them. Some people transport their horses quite regularly. And if you do, I encourage you to watch this entire video. Share it with your friends, because nobody talks about this stuff. I don't know why, but safety, security, like I said, double check your chains, double check your hitch, double check your doors. Don't leave anything to chance. Spend the money it takes to have it inspected, because I can assure you that is a lot cheaper than what's going to happen. Another thing is check your lights before you go too. Make sure they're working, make sure they're plugged in, make sure they're proper, and don't just turn on your four-way lights and say, oh yeah, both of them are flashing, we're good to go. Because I have seen quite a few times where not just horse trailers, but a lot of smaller trailers, where the left and right ones have been reversed for the signal lights. So when the tow vehicle signals right, the trailer's actually signaling left. Gets very confusing and dangerous for drivers behind and to yourself. And a lot of people get, I see these memes on Facebook all the time about, hey, we got precious cargo in our trailers, give us room, respect us, blah, blah, blah. Well, it goes both ways. You got to do your part too. Make sure your lights are working right. Make sure they're actually working, period. Don't leave anything to chance. Make sure your doors are closed proper. Make sure your floor is in good shape. Make sure your tires are in good shape. Make sure your wheel bearings are in good shape. Make sure your brakes are working. Still go over this thing on a regular basis and make sure it's safe to use, because I don't want accidents, okay? It's all about safety. Have a good day.